Hello, hello, and welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for being here and being so patient as I work my way through this small book. We will be reading Phantom Academy, of course, by Shandy Bean. And we last stopped as we are about to read chapter 5. So let's flip to that and get started. Yes. Alright. Chapter 5, Gifts. She awoke excited for Monday and the normality it would bring. Friends, classes, weekend gossip. After showering and dressing, the vocal student instinctively reached for her violin, forgetting she would no longer need it. It took her a minute to register. There were two of them, her dad's aged broken one, and an immaculately new one next to it. She froze. It was dark wood, had golden strings and what looked like a real maple back. It was perhaps the most beautiful thing she had ever laid her eyes upon, and certainly nothing she could ever hope to own herself. It must have cost thousands. A gift bow rested on the top left corner. Was it a present for her? How had it gotten in here? She went over to her door, checking that it was still locked from last night. It was. Then who? Dad? If his spirit could play music and rescue her from attackers, then of course he could materialize something like this. She felt as if she could fly. This was like a dream. After 8 months of waking up every day, feeling somewhere in between anguished and numbed, she had finally gotten him back. "Meg," she yelled, catching up with her friend in the corridor. "Chris, hey, did you get your exam results? How did you do?" "Oh yeah, fine. Well, not fine actually, but listen, I need to tell you something." "Let me guess, you hooked up with Deshani over the weekend," Meg smirked. They maneuvered their way around the busy halls. A few students hung Halloween decorations and banners for the upcoming dance. "No, seriously, listen. You know I'm always saying that there's no proof of ghosts." Meg stopped and grabbed Christine's arm tightly. "You've seen the Academy ghost?" she asked, eyes twinkling. "Okay, if you're going to keep interrupting me, I'm not going to tell you." Okay, sorry." Meg held her hands up. "I think my dad's been contacting me." "Your dad?" "I've been hearing music coming from nowhere, and this morning there was a brand new violin in my room." "Really? What make?" "I don't know. That's not the point. The point is, it appeared out of thin air." "So, you think your dad could have put it there?" Christine could tell Meg was trying to be sensitive. "I know it sounds crazy, but you said yourself ghosts exist." "Yeah, but placing new instruments in your room, and your dad's been gone a while, Chris. Why would he turn up out of the blue now?" "I think it has something to do with this new tutor I'm seeing. I think he's like a conduit. He told me himself that my dad asked him to watch over me." "Whoa, hold up. You're seeing a tutor? And he said what to you?" "Just before my dad died, he held my hand, looked me in the eye, and promised me that when he got to the afterlife, he would send an angel of music to help me through school." "And you think it's this tutor?" "How else could he know what my father had said. I don't know, Chris. Don't you think it all sounds a bit sus? I knew you'd think it was crazy. No, of course I don't. I just want to make sure no one's taking advantage of you. What's this guy's name? Well, the thing is, he's kind of really private about things. He asked me to keep it quiet. Seriously? You're not going to tell me? Does it end with Bundy and start with Ted? Very funny. I think he's just really shy. He's nice, caring, and the only reason I still have a place here. Wait, why wouldn't you have a place here? Christine filled her in on what had happened after the exam and about her weird weekend, careful to leave out the detail of her tutor not actually being physically present and the disturbing incident she'd experienced on the bridge Saturday night. Well, as long as you're happy, Meg said and stopped to hug her friend. And I still get to see you. Christ, I don't know what I'd do if you weren't here. I don't know what I'd do without you either, Christine said, hugging her back. Just be careful. Meg let go of her. This tutor does sound a little odd. Did you hear about the shit on Side Bridge? There are crazies everywhere. Christine cleared her throat. You mean the guy that got stabbed in the head? Yeah, and then some. What do you mean? That guy, they could barely identify him. He'd been completely massacred. Meg's comment would not leave her during first class, no matter how hard Christine tried to take in her music history book in front of her. When she was sure Mr. Persian was well distracted with another student, she took out her phone and searched for the news article. Her blood ran cold. Meg had been right. The guy had been found with over 70 injuries on his body, mercilessly slashed from head to toe. It must have happened after Christine had left. Someone must have pulled him out of the water and... Could her dad's spirit be capable of something like that? No, of course not. He'd always been so gentle, a pacifist even. It couldn't have been him. This was her fault. She hadn't called for help for this guy, and he'd had been finished off by someone. A gang, maybe. Guilt stabbed at her. Before she closed the phone, the last paragraph caught her eye. The murder adds to the unprecedented amount of suspicious deaths seen around this area in the last decade, including, but not limited to, the London Academy of Music, which holds a student suicide rate 300% higher than the national average. 300%! The college in question also carries a high record of accidental deaths, both of student and staff, mainly including falls and electrocution. The headmaster, Mr. Armand Moncharmin, has always declined to comment on such incidents. Christine flicked through face after face of deceased students, caretakers, and teachers. How had she not known all this? Phones away, Persian boomed, causing Christine to jump before she quickly complied. Right before you all leave, I have something for you. The man threw bundles of paper-clipped sheets on each desk. They slapped loudly. Your new performance, he announced. And study material for the next 4 weeks. Don Juan triumphant. Study the notes. Study the lyrics. Practice, practice, practice. The Academy doesn't need another catastrophe like Friday. He directed his gaze to Joseph Bouquet. I keep telling you, sir, it wasn't my fault, Joseph sulked. if you want to qualify as a stage manager, you need to manage the stage bouquet. Believe it or not, that involves making sure the performers are safe. Yeah, well, wherever I work, I'll make sure a priest has cleansed it first, he muttered. The only ghost in this school will be those of former audience members if you keep this up. I'll be surprised if anyone turns up on Friday. Please let that be true, Christine prayed. Oh my actual God, Meg whispered at Christine, flicking through her performance sheets. It says here you're gonna be the lead? Well, 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 Persian boomed as he scaled through his own copy. Christine Daae, looks like you've landed the starring role. His grey-blue eyes bore into her. Well done, Miss Daae. I suppose for every cloud there's a silver lining. For every broken leg, a willing beneficiary. Christine felt her cheeks go red. She scooched lower in her seat as the class turned to stare at her. Sir, when is Carlotta coming back? One of her friends asked. When her leg heals, I assume, Persian said tiredly. Don't worry, I'm sure we haven't heard the last of Carlotta Bell. For now, focus on your own studies. This performance is much more challenging than anything you've done previously. Get acquainted with your roles thoroughly. And as always, remember your college place is at stake. By the time lunch rolled around, Christine was well and truly famished. She stared longingly at the cafeteria specials. Grilled salmon, crispy marinated tofu, creamy macaroni, and roast pork-filled rolls. She sighed and picked out the considerably cheaper, sad-looking sausage roll and took it to the till. Have you noticed that people have been acting weirdly around you today? Lucy asked beside her in the lunch queue. Weirdly? Like how? Christine said, handing the lunch lady a £5 note. Are you Christine Daae? The lunch lady asked. Yeah, that's me. Why? The woman handed her back her money, left the till, and dished up all the meals Christine had earlier gulped at. She placed them on Christine's tray and winked. Try the duck special, she smiled. Christine confusedly took her now heavier tray over to an empty table and looked at the mouth-watering selection before her. Where would she start? See, Lucy said, joining Christine with her own tray. The professors have been extra nice to you all morning, and Martha just handed you a feast free of charge. Okay, Persian has not been so nice to me, Christine said. Well, yeah, but he's just him. Apart from him, I suppose they had been a little friendlier. They probably feel sorry for me over the whole fainting in front of 1,200 people thing. Damn, Chris, Philip said, taking a seat at the table along with Meg. You hungry? Oh my God, Philip, Meg scolded. Have you ever heard of food shaming? She can eat as much as she likes. Here, Christine laughed, pushing the tray to the middle. There's no way I'm going to get through it all. Philip didn't hesitate and took a forkful of macaroni and cheese. So, are we all still up for the seance tonight? You're doing that today? You're going to get yourself suspended and end up missing the Halloween dance on Thursday, Meg said. No, I thought it all through. What's the one place the college can't legally lock? The fire escape. We're holding it on the roof. Everyone's gonna be asleep in the dorms tonight. Teachers will be at home. We sneak up there before curfew, do the spirit conjuring, cleanse the area, and take the fire escape stairs back down. Boom, done. You're a moron, Meg said. I know what I'm doing. I've got these guys coming from my paranormal Facebook group. Why? Lucy asked. It's so scary. There's enough ghostly things going on around here. Why do you want a backstage pass? Because the cleansing ritual we're going to do will release the trapped spirit. That's the whole point. We do this. Bye-bye Academy Ghost. I guess that's a good point. The more people we have, the better chance we have of making it work. Okay, Lucy said. I'm in. Yes, Philip said. But if anyone starts levitating, I'm gone. Chris? Philip asked. Definitely not, Christine said quickly. I have singing lessons late tonight. I can't believe you're gone from back row violinist to center stage singer, Lucy said. I so need your singing tutor's number. Christine couldn't fight the smile at the mention of him. She looked down and took a large bite of the soft pork roll, trying to hide her expression from the others. Eric. Such a simple name for a person so unsimple. And that voice, smooth, powerful, enticing. She could only imagine what he looked like. She had to get to know him better, find out why her father had chosen him, why he'd wanted them to meet. She had to get him to reveal himself somehow. Christine's mind drew to the present as she spotted a dark human silhouette stood outside the food hall door. It was facing her, not moving an inch, even as the door closed and opened in front of it. With passing students, they didn't seem to notice its presence. She got up mindlessly. The chatter, the clamor of plates around her grew silent. As she walked towards the figure almost magnetically, it never moved. She got closer and opened the door, bracing herself to come face to face with the shadow, but there was nothing, just an empty corridor and stairs. It had disappeared. She felt a chill in the spine. She felt watched. A hand smacked down on her shoulder from behind. She gasped and spun. Rao! She exhaled in relief before hugging him. Did I scare you? He teased. Christine died, jumping at shadows. You, the girl that teased me so horribly for closing my eyes while playing the pale man. She gave a small laugh and stepped back from him. Sorry, I was miles away. You certainly have been. I've been trying to catch you all day. Really? Well, Mr. Frenchman, please accept my apology. Oui, mademoiselle. We have to perform Ange de la Mort again on Friday. I think I'm just a bit stressed about it all. You are rather a hot mess out there. I am very much aware, she grinned. So did you come here just to make fun of me? He gave a small laugh. Actually, I wondered if you were free tonight, if I could take you out for some sugary donuts, hot chocolate, a freezing ride on the London Eye. Sounds incredibly tempting, she smiled, but I have work after classes, then I have a singing tuition. That's a shame. What about tomorrow? That's pretty much my schedule for all week. Oh, but I'm not working Thursday. I've cut it off for the Halloween dance. What about your singing lessons? I'm sure my tutor would understand, she said, though somehow doubted profusely that would be the case. We could hang out at the dance. The dance it is, he said, his ocean blue eyes boring into her. God, he really is gorgeous. She thought how much the girl she was last year would kill to have this moment, to be back with him again. She worried there was something wrong with her. Her heart felt watered down. It happened a few weeks after her dad's passing. and had stubbornly stayed put. And don't forget, he said, you're supposed to enjoy your student days. You don't need to fill up the entire time with work and study. Yeah, she said, I definitely did get that memo on that. Christine tried hard that afternoon to focus on her classes, but she couldn't help repeatedly peeking into the Don Juan triumphant script and the role she was expected to play. Bianca, her character, was a beautiful angel girl who sneaked out of heaven to get a closer view of Earth. Her fascination rested upon a beast of the forest. Every morning she dared to fly closer and closer until one day, while feigning sleep, the beast snapped open its eyes and grabbed her with its heavy paws. She was instantly transformed into its likeness and cursed to roam the dark forest for the rest of her mortal life now. Christine raised her eyebrows. Points for imagination, Eric. She was relieved to feel the cold London air as she and her friends left school. Philip begged one last time for her and Meg to join him on the roof at night. Christine looked over at the fire escape's high winding steps and shuddered. You two are on your own. She laughed at him and Lucy. It is a long way up. Lucy gazed up to the top of the old building. Don't wuss out on me now, Philip said to her. It's going to be great. We're going to film it. Megami, Professor Giry yelled, sounding the car horn. Coming, Mother, Meg said, rolling her eyes. Don't you need to catch a bus for work, Chris? Before Christine could answer, a shimmering black Rolls-Royce pulled up in front of them. Whoa, Philip said. A wide-shouldered man stepped out of the driver's side. Transport for Daae, the chauffeur announced loudly. Oh, Jesus, please no. Her friend stared at her open-mouthed. I have alternative transport today, it seems, she said to them. Christine Daae for Quaker Street, he said louder. That's me, Christine said quietly and stepped into the passenger door he'd opened for her. She observed her friend's confusion through the dark tinted window. Just before they drove off, she spotted Rao as he stepped out of the academy doors with a group of girls and guys surrounding him. He seemed to emanate the same magnetism that Carlotta held. She watched him comb a hand through his thick golden hair. Christ, he really was a walking Instagram filter. 15 minutes later, she stepped out of the car, too stunned to speak. Eventually, she made her way over to the ash and debris of her workplace and the unmoving man standing in front of it. Ed? She coaxed gently. What happened? Christine? He said, looking at her as though he'd seen a ghost. I'm sorry, I should have called. There are no shifts today. Ed? She forced him to make eye contact with her. What happened? Arson. It's gone. Everything. Chapter 6. Box 5. Good, good, said her tutor. Bring it lower. Sing from your chest. Remember, you are the lead. You must lead. She continued to sing for the very best kind of audience, one made up of empty chairs. She took her voice lower and deeper, surprised at how much she was enjoying herself, and ended the song with a note she didn't think her vocal cords were capable of making. Wow, that actually didn't sound entirely terrible. Excellent, Christine, Eric enthused. Ange de la Mort shall truly redeem herself. I hope so, she said, catching her breath. My grades depend on it. Could I take 5 minutes, drink some water? Yes, yes, fine. She sat down on the chair. Earlier she'd shifted it to face the curtain. He'd not reprimanded her for doing so, and it felt more natural to face the direction of his voice when conversing. Not that there was anything natural in talking with this phantom professor. Though the grand hall had no windows, the night air could still be felt. The rain outside threw itself against the theater roof. Christine's thoughts turned to Ed and the destruction of V-Light. Who would do something like that? Arson. After offering him feeble attempt at comfort, knowing nothing she could say would make a difference, she had taken the unnecessarily elaborate car that had not moved from its parking spot back to school. She thought about going to her music lesson early, but had remembered how firm Eric had been entering the theater only at its assigned times. "It's nearly curfew," Christine said after a large swig of bottled water, surprised at how fast the hours had passed. They'd been in it all evening. She was tired but exhilarated. Or perhaps that was just the coffee. "Don't worry, you'll be back in your dormitory soon enough." She heard him rustling papers and wondered if he was editing music sheets. "Do you have plans this weekend, Christine?" "Yes, I'm going to see my aunt. I take the train to—" "Cancel them," he said matter-of-factly. "You need to stay here and keep your tuition scheduled. 4 weeks is not a long time to have you performance ready, but I believe with my direction you can achieve it." "I suppose you're right." She sighed after a moment. She would have to make sure to get to Aunt Val next weekend instead. Guilt pricked at her, but he was right. Time was ticking, and having her Beyoncé ready was going to take every miracle-filled second available. A 45-minute exam was one thing. A brand new 2.5-hour performance was entirely another. "I'll make other arrangements." "Good. Will you be watching the performance?" she asked him. "I mean, do you usually watch them?" "Yes, of course. I will be watching this one with particular enthusiasm, it being your debut." She blushed slightly. "So, where exactly will you be watching from, so I can look out for you if I stumble?" "Do not doubt yourself, Christine," he said to her disappointment. "I have my own observation box from where I watch. I will be far from your sight, but always in your ear." "Can I see it?" "What?" "Your box. Where you watch from." His shuffling stopped. The silence held a moment before he said, "Yes, of course." The back door of the theater, the one next to the stage, opened, slow and creaky. Christine swallowed hard, her heart thudding. She got up almost in a trance and took the few steps down the stage. She walked towards the door that she'd never seen open before. Though only several steps ahead, it seemed miles until she'd reached it. She thought she spotted a black shoe or boot in the corner of her eye before it disappeared, leaving her questioning if she'd imagined it. She walked through the doorway. It led to a velvet carpeted staircase. The walls beside it were like the main theater, covered in scarlet textured wallpaper and framed with gold etching. She walked up one step at a time. "Box 5, he announced behind her. She paused, silencing a gasp. That voice. Warm, safe, collected, yet able to veer into coldness, anger, and passion at a moment's notice. That voice, so close. She felt a tingle from head to toe, knowing there was no curtain or darkness between them. All she had to do was turn her head, and he'd be there. After a second, she carried on climbing until she reached the top, a small hallway with numbered doors. She opened number 5. The relatively slight space held 2 small rows of mahogany chairs. It was ordained with a golden balcony frame and deep red walls. It was as magnificent as the rest of its body. She looked down upon the theater in all its grandness. "Wow," she whispered, holding on to the guardrail. "It's beautiful." "This is where I take in the fruits of my labor," he said, just a few feet behind her, and determined casting for the Academy's next venture. She turned her head ever so slightly to the side and cursed the fear that prevented her from turning further. "Do you sit up here? Alone?" "Always," he whispered, and Christine felt her heart tug. "Maybe we could sit together," she suggested. "Together? What do you mean?" She took a front seat without moving her head, her face still on the theater below to show him what she meant. He was close enough now that she could feel the small distance of air between them, could hear him swallow. "Yes," he breathed. "That would be most." He let out a cough. "Yes, I would be honored to have you as my first guest." She felt him sit slowly directly behind her. "Don't you ever go on stage?" she asked, looking to it. "You know, take a bow, let everyone see the person who's responsible for the shows they love?" "Music demands to be heard, not seen," he said in that stern tone Christine was growing familiar with. Nothing is gained from looking at the creator's face. It only serves to take away from the music. A beautiful face gives it more splendor than it deserves. A disagreeable face, well, perhaps the listener would cease to exist at all. "I see," she said, though she didn't. "How long have you been doing it?" "Making music for the Academy." "I do not make music for the Academy. The Academy belongs to me. This is my theater," he said, anger bleeding into his tone. "My official title is director, though I specialize in vocal training. When I first arrived, I was given 2 students to tutor. They went on to become West End stars. Ever since, Moncharmin has thrown student after student at me, regardless, of course, of whether they actually possess talent." A blush crept onto Christine's cheeks. "Oh, I see." "You misunderstand me," he said softly. She thought she sensed his hand reaching for her shoulder before he retracted it. He let out a cough. "After a short while, I insisted on tutoring only those I chose. I have not picked out a student for a very long time, until you. You were a curiosity to me the moment you arrived. On your first day at the Academy, I watched you carefully, meticulously as you played." "You watched me?" "But it wasn't enough. I needed to hear you sing in front of an audience. See if it was right," he said, ignoring her. "So when Carlotta Bell had her unfortunate accident, I instructed Miss Sherry to send you in for the part." "That was you? Gee, thanks for that." "You're welcome," he said, missing her sarcasm. "I was correct about you. Your rawness swept through. I could feel the pain in every note you bled." "Yeah, that's called stage fright. I passed out. Maybe you need to get some technicians in. That light bar nearly killed Carlotta. A tragedy, he said matter-of-factly, but all is well that ends well. Do not ponder too much on it. She furrowed her brow and shook her head. Well, I appreciate you giving me the chance to stay. The academy is, well, it's everything to me. We've barely scratched the surface, Christine. With your voice and my songs, we will make music of legend. You will be a star, and my music immortalized in the Hall of Fame. His voice burned with passion. She felt his breath on the back of her neck, causing her own breathing to quicken. She lifted her hand from her lap and slowly reached behind her. After a moment, she felt his hand shakily meet hers. She laced her fingers through his. Christine, he whispered, trembling. I want to know you better, Eric. My father told me about you before he died. About the angel of music. You will, he said, regaining his composure. I will show you things you can only imagine. Take you places you've only dreamt. He rubbed his thumb across hers. She felt a combination of fire and ice run up her arm. Let me see you, she whispered. He swiped his hand back sharply. That is not possible, he snapped. Why not? She protested. The main theater doors opened suddenly. That concludes our lesson, Miss Dye. We will continue again tomorrow. His voice was now far away. She turned. He was gone. She sighed in frustration, stood, and made her way through the box and down the stairs. Before she had reached the second half of the theater hall, she paused and turned towards the curtain. Good night, Christine, the phantom's voice warned. She ignored him and determinedly walked towards the stage. Get to your dorm, he seethed, his voice fiercer now. She took the wooden steps, and before fear and sense had time to object, she flung the giant curtain back and stepped into the dimly lit area. No one stood in the large, cold, silent space. She let out a disappointed sigh as the curtain fell behind her. She moved to leave. That was when she felt it. The piercing presence behind her, the anger. She turned slowly and looked into dark, dark eyes. Chapter 7. The Mask. I'm sorry, she whispered, stepping backwards. I should have listened. I'll go. It's too late for that, the hooded figure replied. She could only make out his pale white chin and the bottomless black of his irises. The rest of his face was concealed somehow. It was hard to tell by what exactly due to the oversized black cloak he wore. Her heart thrummed as he stepped forward. This was it. This was how she would die, by the Grim Reaper himself. Her back hit the wall. She had nowhere left to go. Her body slid down the cold panel, and she hugged her knees to her chest. She stared up at the tall nightmare now looming over her. Forgive me, she said, wanting to close her eyes, but keeping them firmly on his. She saw a flicker in them, a change, a warmth. He bent down in front of her. He wore a black mask concealed beneath his hood. He reached out, his trembling white-gloved hand, and held it hesitantly in the air beside her cheek. He was looking at her so intensely she thought she'd break in half. Christine, he whispered, and the familiar warmth of his voice soothed her slightly. It's been so long since I felt another's touch. She swallowed. It's okay, she whispered and slowly leaned her face into his hand. He inhaled a shaky breath, and Christine wondered what could cause a person to appear to be the starved of human contact. You. She tried to hide the quiver in her voice. You look more scared than I am. She attempted a laugh. He looked taken aback. I don't want you to be afraid of me. He pulled his hand away, stood, removed his black cloak, and laid it aside. Not you. Before her stood a man, or a boy. She wasn't sure what she'd expected, but the smartly dressed person in front of her was not it. He wore black trousers with a matching suit jacket and tie, a white shirt, and pristinely polished leather shoes. His thick dark hair was swept to the side, each strand meticulously styled into place. He looked like he belonged in an executive business office, where he would have if not for the mask. It was black leather and covered almost the entirety of his pale face, only leaving his lips, chin, and the skin beneath his hairline on show. He outstretched a hand towards her. She took it, and unable to turn her fearful gaze from him, let the glaring figure pull her up. This type of interaction is very different for me, please. Be patient, he said, causing her to feel a rush of pity. Who are you? She whispered, her hand still in his. He cleared his throat and stepped back. You know who I am. I am your music tutor, your angel, the only one who can deliver to you your dreams. How old are you, Eric? 22, I believe. You believe? Wouldn't you know somehow something like that? I've not tasked myself with keeping count. She noticed absently how attractive he was, or what she could see of him anyway. Or maybe it was his demeanor, how he carried himself, or perhaps she was just experiencing an insane amount of adrenaline. Where do you live? She asked. I live here, in the academy. Let me know you, she said, rushing towards him and grabbing his arms. Please, I have so many questions. What do you want to know? He said, carefully resting a hand on top of one of hers, staring at it studiously. Will you come into the light? She tried to direct him out of the curtain. He nodded after a moment and let her guide him slowly. She felt his pulse race through his hand. It matched her own rapid one. They made their way through, and though the grand lights of the theater offered no additional insight into what lay behind his mask, she saw the outline of a nose and deep cheekbones under it, and how truly ghostly white his skin appeared to be. His black eyes bore into her. Christine couldn't tell if he was looking at her as if she were predator or prey, with fear or want. He took his hand and gently cupped her face, breathing hard through his nose. Christine, he swallowed. I have dared to dream about this moment, seeing you like this, and you, me, touching you. He ran his hand down to her neck. I've wanted to see you too, Eric. I feel like you've been in my life longer somehow. I've not left your side since you have arrived here. From the first moment I saw you, heard how you played, I've kept watch over you, desperate for this. Because you were friends with my father? Because you carry pain, indulge in loneliness. You and I are so alike, and yet you are so beautiful. She parted her lips and touched his exposed jaw with her fingers. He shut his eyes and clenched his jaw. When was the last time you were touched? She whispered. He opened his eyes and looked puzzled as if he was trying to figure it out. He shook his head faintly. Tears rushed in Christine's eyes. Oh, she whispered. She reached higher, brushing his mask. No, he warned, grabbing her wrist hard, his eyes like knives. No, he said again, his voice slightly softened. Her heart thudded. I'm sorry, she breathed. His gaze gentled. He slowly released her wrist and offered her a hand. Follow me. She took it, and he led them to the curtain. It opened by itself, suddenly causing Christine to jump. Eric didn't flinch. How did you do that? She asked. He stopped and pulled out a small metal device from his inside pocket. The Academy's master control. That's why the doors seem to open by themselves, why the lights turn on and off. It controls everything in here from the floors to the roof, the electrics and fire doors. Fire doors? Wow, wouldn't want to be on your bad side during an emergency, she said in an attempt at humor. No, I suppose you wouldn't, he said flatly, seeming to miss the joke. Her smile dropped. He looked at her with confusion. Christine. He released her hand and grabbed both of her arms. I will never hurt you, he said firmly. He must have misunderstood her expression. I know, she told him, and somehow believed herself as she did. He smiled at her. He was so beautiful. She wished so badly she could see behind his mask. Come, he said, and with another click of a button, he shut the theater doors and brought her behind the stage, where two floor panels split apart to reveal a trapdoor. A gust of cold air flew out of it. He stepped down into it onto a ladder and expectantly held open his hand for her to take. Trust me, he said. Christine looked down into the pitch-black pit. She would wonder one day, years from now, how she could have gone so willingly, how nothing screamed at her to turn back, how she let this masked man lead her through the dark. Every bone and cell, demanding she follow him at the cost of the world. She took his cold hand and carefully climbed down the ladder. She couldn't see until they reached the bottom, at which they went down another trapdoor. She reached for his arm when they'd reached the bottom and held it close as he led them away, marveling at his ability to navigate in the dark. Where are we going? Her voice echoed into the long halls. I'm taking you home, he simply said. She tried to feel around her, more out of fascination than fear. Light came into view as they approached 5 doors in a straight line. What's behind them? She asked. My chambers. He led her past them. Where I create the music you play, as well as eat and sleep, of course. You live down here? It awards me privacy, which is sorely needed whilst trying to write in a school full of maddening noise. They ascended more steps into the dark and took twists and turns until Christine saw scattered pinpricks of light everywhere. She let go of him to put her face to 2 of them. The main corridor was behind them. Where in the walls? She said. These holes, are they in the portraits, their eyes? It is an extremely cost-effective surveillance measure. She couldn't tell if he was joking or not, though he didn't really seem the type to revel in humor. He took her hand and led her forward. Curfew is nearly upon us, quickly. Is that when the boogeyman comes out? She smiled. He laughed for the first time. Let us not find out. They soon hit a stop. Eric paused and clicked a button. The wall opened in front of them, and although all the lights were off, it was significantly lighter than inside the walls. Wait, we're in the dorms? She said, looking around. You have a secret tunnel to the girls' dorms? I have access to every area of the building, but please, let us not disturb those sleeping, dear. He put a finger to his lips. She shook her head incredulously. He walked her to the room, apparently not needing to ask which one it was. You are different, Eric, she said, giving the mystifying man a smile. You talk like no one I know. At least no one who's 21. He smiled at her, and she couldn't deny the flip of her stomach. I spent a great deal of time in the company of adults as a child, but that's a topic for another time. He moved a strand of hair from her face. Get in your room. Tomorrow you start rehearsing for Friday. You need to sleep. She realized she still had hold of his hand. She unwillingly let go of it to open her door. He grasped it back, surprising her, then brought it to his lips and gently kissed it. Good night, Christine. His eyes were as intense as ever. Good night, Eric, she whispered, startled but smiling. She unlocked her door and stepped in, pausing to take a last look at the tutor she'd finally seen. He smiled at her softly and closed the door between them. A second later, she heard the faint sound of the wall compartment closing. And that concludes our now surprisingly 3 chapters read. I think it was well deserved since I've made you all wait so long, so we will follow up on chapter 8 and 9 next time, which I don't know how long that will be. I will try my best. But next is The Accident and the ever-loved Masquerade. So I hope you enjoyed. Please bear with me my reading out loud skills. I very much appreciate you being here and hanging around so much. And I can't wait to finish this story with you. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself, drink some water, and I will see you oh so soon, my petals.